Hey everybody, this is Cad Roll Hunter, and I've got 20 rolls of pennies, and you never know what you're going to find in pennies here in Canada. They're not circulating anymore, so these might have come right out of somebody's piggy bank or penny jar, and who knows, there could be some oldies and some goodies. Let's see what we can find. We got to dig in. Hi everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel Cad Roll Hunter, and I've got a couple rolls, well not a couple rolls, I got 20 rolls. I got a bunch of pennies here, and as you know, pennies don't circulate in Canada anymore. We don't use them for transactions, you don't get them in change anymore, but we know that there were billions of them made, and so people still have lots and lots of pennies at home. I get my pennies from the bank. I just go and ask, do you have any pennies? And they often have them, and they give them to me. Many of you know that the banks aren't necessarily supposed to be giving pennies back. They're supposed to be sending them back to the mint to be destroyed. So I'm rescuing these pennies from destruction, and hopefully we can save some really cool old coins from destruction by going through here and finding some stuff. So I can see some newer, shinier enders. The newest penny we could find is 2012. That was the last year they were made. I see a couple older copper, or at least an older copper. Pennies were copper in Canada until 1996. After that, they were made of steel or zinc. And I see an American in there too, and it looked like copper. So let's see what we can find. I've got the copper cup. I've got the steel and zinc cup. I'd better get my magnet and my scale. Pennies are lots of fun. Let's dig in. Roll number one, I've got a 1985. We always want to check our 85s. There is a far less common pointed 5. It's this tail here on the 5 that is pointed. This is knit. I found a couple of them, and pretty recently too, and when you can find them, it might be an easy $50, $60 depending on the condition. Maybe not if it's a little bit trashy like this one, but it's a hard one to come by, and you want to check them. They're out there because we're finding them. Here's a look at roll number two, and you can see that some of these pennies are in pretty rough shape, so I don't know where they would have come from, but you see all that chalky blue-white sort of substance? That looks like zinc rot. So any of these pennies that are made of zinc, whether they're Canadian or American zinc pennies, when they are exposed to the elements and start to break down, that is the kind of damage you can see there. So some of these aren't going to be all that pretty, but then again, there's a nice shiny one right there. And we just don't know. Some of these rolls might have come from one place and many might have come from somewhere else. So hopefully they're not all like this. We'd like to find some really nice condition pennies. Sometimes we can find some bright gems. Still in roll two, I've got a 1965 here, and it's in pretty good condition. And there are 4 different varieties. There's a small bead and a large bead and a pointed 5 and a blunt 5 in different combinations. This is the large bead. It's that A pointed to a large bead. They're very close together and large. And the rare variety we want to look for, the most uncommon, the most valuable, is the large bead pointed 5. So we got to flip this coin over and take a look at the date. And this one here, even though this 5 looks to have a little bit of a point here, this is actually what is known as the blunt 5. The pointed 5 is far more acute. So this isn't the rare one. This is a pretty common 1965 large bead, blunt 5, and kind of in a brownish condition on the one side, and got a lot of red on the other, but it's not the one we're looking for. Well, we've done it again, hunting pennies for fun and profit. Check that out. It's an imposter. It is a dime in our penny roll. Let's see what we got. That was pretty dramatic. It doesn't look silver. It's just going to be a regular old 2008 dime. But hey, we made 9 cents on that. You can take that to the bank. So here we are on roll number 3. And in addition to that dime, we're going to have our first laureate portrait find. It's a 1964. In the roll, and we flip it over, and there she was, Queen Elizabeth II. Cool. Same roll, we got another one. Let's see what it is this time. It's another 1964. Very common year, but that's an awesome find. Roll number 4, and I think we've got another dryer coin. Check out this. The rim is raised up, been flattened down a bit, and the face of the coin is rather muted. The face of it is sort of softened. If I flip it over, the same thing. We've lost a lot of the detail here. And this can happen when a coin is caught in a commercial dryer, literally a dryer coin, and just spins and spins and spins around inside the machine, inside the drum, basically between the drum and the outside of the washer. There's a space between these two rotating parts. And that's what happens. The heat kind of smooths it down. It gets worn over time from making contact, and the edge gets flattened down. So that's a cool find. It's a 1986. It looks like it is a dryer penny. Well, here's a really great example of zinc rot in roll number 5. You can see all of that sort of white debris. And if you look at the edge, part of it is actually like broken off and it is just white. Sometimes they could get so brittle, you might even just be able to snap it in half. But that is in pretty rough shape. But in the same roll, we're going to find an older penny. It's another laureate portrait. This time it's a 1962. There are a couple of varieties we can look for. It'll be hard to see on a coin in this condition, but let's just scope it and take a peek. Here's our 62 under the scope, not in great condition. The things we could be looking for would be a die clash that would appear to make the two hang. And I've got some examples from the Coins in Canada website, so you can see the picture there of what that would look like. It's just an impression of the obverse die on the reverse die that gets struck onto the coin. Now this here is just a scratch. It's not a die crack. I looked at that closely. But above here, the other variety we would find has lines coming down from the one, and it's either called the guitar or harp, I guess depending on how significant the lines are, but that's not what we've got here. So I wanted to take a little break in the action. While I'm editing the film, I go to the mailbox and I check, and I got a bit of a surprise package from Hunting Southwest Ohio. I participated in a live stream some time ago. I can't quite remember when. It was a while back. And I won a giveaway. I actually won a pound of coffee here from Freedom Coffee Company. So this, I guess, is local in the Southwest Ohio area. And so finally got that in the mail from Hunting in Southwest Ohio. I got a card here, and it just says, James, thank you for supporting the channel. I apologize for the extreme lateness. No worries at all in this delivery. We included a few extras for your enjoyment. Thanks, Hunting Southwest Ohio and Mrs. O. So that's really fantastic. Thank you so much for sending that. And so I was only expecting the coffee, and but there was this other little envelope here, and as I open it up, we did get some bonus, and look at that. We got some bonus silver. I wasn't expecting that at all. That's crazy, but what we have is a 1967 Kennedy half dollar. That is a 40%er. That is wicked. And then these other two look to be some Roosevelt dimes. This one here is a 1964 90%. And another one here, which is a first year Rosie 1946, also 90%. So it's always great to get some unexpected silver in the mail, and I want to thank Hunting Southwest Ohio so much for sending that along. You didn't need to do that, brother, but that's okay. I enjoy silver, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this coffee. So I'll have a link to Hunting Southwest Ohio's channel below, as well as a link to Freedom Coffee Company if you're interested in picking up some coffee. This is veteran owned, and they won't roast your coffee until you order it, so it's guaranteed to be fresh, and it includes their logo on a dog tag there, which is actually pretty neat. So anyhow, back to the action. Roll number 6, it's in with these grungy coins, but it's another one for the board. This one is another 1962. I don't see any evidence of the guitar or harp. Roll 7, there's our first 1963, and I think this might be the last of these grungy rolls. Well, there might be one more in there. Most of the rest of them are different wrappers, and that usually bodes well. I guess we'll find out. Roll number 8, there is our third 1964 of the hunt. Another laureate portrait, and I see just behind it, we've got an older American. That is our oldest US. It's a 1966. Still in roll 9, we've got a 2006, and this is one you got to check. If I flip it over, this one doesn't have the P composition mark, meaning it would be steel, and it doesn't have the Royal Canadian Mint logo. There's nothing below the Queen's bust. And if this coin is magnetic, it is very low mint. And I found one, and that is not magnetic, but you got to check it because they could be worth hundreds of dollars. The other ones you want to look for is the one with the P composition mark below the Queen. It's also very rare, really low mint. So you got to check all your 2006s. Here's an interesting one. It's a 1968. It looks like it's still got some luster to it, but it doesn't have a lot of detail. It actually looks pretty good, but it's definitely a little bit off center. You can see the rim is much wider down here than it is on the top where we see In God We Trust. And yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. We're into roll 12. It's been a bit slow going. Bring you in because we've got another laureate portrait. Those rolls we've been looking through have been pretty awful. They're starting to look like better coins here. But what we've got is a 1963. A little bit later in the same roll, we've got our oldest find so far. It's a 1957 Queen Elizabeth II. Awesome. I just pulled this shiny 99 out from roll number, I think it's 14. And look who came to town. It is King George VI. And this one is a 1948, so we can check this one for a couple varieties. So there are 3 varieties of the 1948. It's an A pointing to a large denticle, or a small denticle, or an A pointing between large denticles. So the 3 things you can look for. What we've got is the A pointing to a large denticle. This is a common one. What we want is the A pointing to a small denticle, and these denticles, instead of being longer, rounded denticles, look like just small little lines. So that's what you want to be looking out for. If you get a 1948 in your hunt like we did this time, that's what you want to be looking for. And same roll just a little bit further back, a 1963. I'm in roll 14, and I might have lost count. The last one I might have called 14, but this is definitely roll 14. And I found a few American cents in the first part of this roll, and it looks like the rest is almost all going to be American cents. So I've had to crack out my trusty red book to see if there are any varieties in what we've got here. There's a couple grungy ones, but some shiny ones too. Roll number 16, and we've got an oldie. Check it out, a 1941. It is brown, but it looks pretty nice. It's got lots of detail. Let's get a closer look, and let's flip it around. And there is King George VI. And check that out. Look at all the detail in the hair. That is an uncommonly nice condition, 1941. That's fantastic. Roll 18, it's going to be a bit of an ugly one, but it's a 1964 laureate portrait. And yeah, it's got something on it. That's odd, but it's a find for the board. Same roll, and we're going to have our new oldest find. This is a 1940. We've got an American wheat cent in our Canadian penny roll. That is really cool. Roll number 20, almost done this 20 roll hunt, but we've got one more find, one more laureate portrait for the board. We got a few to go. This is another 1963, so we'll put it over here with our other finds. We got a handful, and we'll just see if there's anything else in here, and then I'll do a wrap-up. There we have it, 20 rolls hunted. There's all the discarded wrappers. There's a big stack of American zinc cents. Some of them are in pretty bad shape, you can see. They're very plentiful here in Canada. If you notice, we get lots of American coins in any coin rolls, penny rolls that we get, but here are the copper finds right here and the zinc and steel. So we were a little more weighted towards the zinc and steel this time. From our finds, we got a small stack of American copper. In our miscellaneous finds, we got 1 Canadian dime. That's great. So we're up a little bit. And that drier coin where the rim has been flattened out and the detail on the coin is mostly gone. We got, I'm going to say 8, 9, 10 laureate portraits in the 60s, a couple 62s, 4 63s, 4 64s. We got some older stuff too. We got that 1957. We got a 48. That's the A pointing to large denticle. Our oldest Canadian was that 1941. But our oldest find of the hunt was a 1940 US wheat cent. And that's always great, finding a US wheat cent. We don't expect to see them. I love it when we find them. That is fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed that penny hunt. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, Roll Hunter, please subscribe now. I would totally appreciate it. You'll be alerted when my new videos coming out. I have new videos coming out all the time. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time.